Hey, Lance Hedrick here, and today we're taking on AI. So what does that mean? I'm taking on AI. Well, we've all probably seen that new chatbot that's come out and is open source. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to field questions that my Patreon members ask me. And then we're going to ask AI what it thinks. And it's a little battle royale. Obviously, I'm going to win because I'm the one who declares the winner. But it'll be fun nonetheless to see what each one says. So we're going to go through some of these questions, going to answer some of them. And yeah, we'll see how it all goes. So let's just go and jump straight in. After you hit the like and the subscribe if you enjoy my content. If this is your first video, welcome. I'm Lance Hedrick. I have been in the coffee industry for about a decade now, coaching, being a barista, training all over the world, and would love to have you here. Let's go on. All right. So firstly, we have... What are your thoughts on the Hario switch and immersion brewing? So that's a two-part question. That'll be a little difficult to answer, but we'll go for it. So immersion brewing in general is incredibly forgiving because you have essentially no channels. Of course, with the Hario switch, at the end, once it's drawing down, you can have channels introduced after you open the switch, but it is a very forgiving pour-over style brewer that I do enjoy. Now, I use the switch part more than I actually use the V60 inside of it because I like to mess around with it, but I think it's a very good way of brewing, especially in cafes, because it's, like I said, very forgiving. You can have a lot of that sweetness and that body that comes with immersion, now you don't really get the clarity that comes along with like a standard V60, but you're going to have a nice, somewhat even extraction that sits honestly in between a pour over and something like a French press or more specifically a clever dripper. So I think it's a great way to brew your coffee if you're not wanting to sit around and work on how your flow rate is, work on your pulses, work on all these different things. You can kind of just set it, forget it, then open it, let it drain. So I'm a fan. I think immersion brewing is great. Cupping is delicious. The Hario switch is fantastic. So let's see what our friend ChatGPT has to say about this. What are your thoughts? Oh my goodness. Learn to type, Lance, on the Hario switch and immersion brewing. The Hario switch is a type of coffee brewing device that uses the immersion brewing method. Immersion brewing involves fully immersing coffee grounds in hot water for a period of time, typically 4 to 6 minutes, before separating the coffee from the water by pressing the grounds through a filter or straining them out. This method is known for producing a full-bodied, robust cup of coffee with a rich, bold flavor. Very specific. Thanks, ChatGPT, whatever you're called. Overall, I think immersion brewing can be a great way to make coffee, especially if you like strong, full-flavored brew. So obviously you don't like full flavor brews with normal V60s? I guess not. The Hario switch is a manual brewing device that allows you to control all aspects of the brewing process, including the water temp, brew time, coffee to water ratio, which can be helpful for those who want to fine tune their coffee to their taste preferences. One potential downside to immersion brewing is that it can be time consuming compared to other brewing methods, such as drip brewing or espresso. I don't know if it's much more time consuming than drip brewing, but okay. It also requires more coffee grounds per cup compared to other brewing methods, which may be a concern for those who are looking to save money on coffee. That's also a very interesting thing to say. Overall, whether or not the Hario switch and immersion brewing is a good choice for you will depend on your personal taste preferences and how much time and effort you're willing to put into your brewing routine. There's a lot of misinformation here, which I understand because you're still in a beta form. It's okay, sweetie bear. My answer's better. All right, so I won. I'm 1-0. What is... You're going to give me COVID, and I'm going to die, probably. Oh! Go! God on high, hear my prayer. He is old, I am only a child. Bring him home. Okay. What is your best recommendation for a specialty coffee, be it a brand or particular blend that can be found in most supermarkets or major retailers? So this is a more US specific question, it seems like, because they said this is a US specific question. But I'll give it a go anyway. In these big kind of supermarkets, things like that, you can typically count on finding something like Intelligentsia or Stumptown or Counterculture. Those tend to be kind of like the big three, easiest to find in like the Whole Foods or even sometimes Walmarts or things like that. You'll be able to find one of those big three. But I mean, that's pretty much it. That's probably my answer. If I were in a Whole Foods, I'm probably going to go try to pick up like a Counterculture unless I see some sort of local specialty roaster, in which case I'm probably going to pick that up. But that's how that one works. So let's see what chat. I can't remember your name. I'm just going to call him George because it starts with a G. That was really not creative at all, and I apologize. Gaston. We'll call him Gaston because he acts big and tough, but he doesn't know who's the real big bad wolf. That made no sense. Let's see. What is your best recommendation for a specialty coffee that can be found in most U.S. supermarkets? I gotta do that, or major retailers. It can be difficult to find specialty coffee in most U.S. supermarkets or major retailers, as these types of stores tend to focus more on mass-produced, lower-quality coffee brands, i.e. commodity coffee, which is true. That being said, there are a few specialty coffee brands that can be found in some supermarkets and major retailers, including Death Wish Coffee. This brand is, I don't know if I know them actually, from 100% Arabica beans, okay. Peet's Coffee, of course, I forgot Peet's, well-known specialty coffee brand that was found in Berkeley, yep. Starbucks, while not a specialty coffee in the traditional sense, Starbucks is a well-known coffee chain. So those are the three that it offers. It's worth noting that while these brands can be found in some supermarkets and major retailers, they may not be available in all locations. So from those three, I'm probably going to pick Peet's, but Counterculture is at like every Whole Foods you'll ever walk into. So if you're near something like that, I would look for that. But these are, some options, some other options. So I didn't get any of those right, but I think mine were better. So 2 for Lance. Okay, not saying anything negative about the ones there, but I named 3, and so they're obviously right. Okay. We're keeping that in. One of my favorite things to do is to make my cameraman laugh, and
I'm not your cameraman!
He detests that word. Okay. Let's see. What is the best grinder for filter coffee for about 500 euros? So, in my opinion, hands down, 500 euros, if that's your max limit, so under that, I'm doing the Fellow Ode Gen 2 with SSP multi-purpose burrs. That, for me, is the #1 filter grinder. Now, if you like medium or darker roasted coffees, you could get the Fellow Ode Gen 2 with the stock burrs, and they are quite nice as well. They do a really good job giving you a nice balanced cup. But if you're wanting filter coffee and you like really bright, clear coffees, the SSP multi-purpose burrs are the way to go, in my opinion. That is like, I love it. I actually have a video I'll link right there on what I think is the best filter grinder before diminishing returns, and I'd still believe that. I think you're going really quickly, escalating quickly on quality from like a blade grinder to something like a Baratza Encore where you have that cone burr, and you can't keep kind of going up at a really steep rate when you hit the Fellow Ode, and then I kind of see it kind of like going like this. You're still going up in returns, but they start to diminish, right? They start to level off, kind of like an espresso shot. It builds pressure, then it levels off at 9 bar, right? This, we're going up, and we're almost at 9 bar when we hit the Fellow Ode with SSP multi-purpose bursts in them. That is my top answer. But let's see what AI has to say about that. What is the best grinder? I guess I should put coffee grinder because who knows what they think grinder is. What's the best coffee grinder for filter coffee under 500 euros? All right. It's thinking. I'm a much faster thinker. There are a number of good coffee grinders available for under 500 euros that would be suitable for filter coffee. Some options to consider include Baratza Encore. You know, that's one of the OGs. I think it's now 199 US dollars, so probably like, I don't know, 189 euros, I don't know. Popular entry level, 40 grind settings. Yeah. Number 2, Rencilio Rocky. Rocky's a step up in terms of price and quality from the Encore. Still good value for the price. Sturdier build, wide range of grind settings, 50 of them, suitable for more brew methods. Number 3, Baratza Virtuoso. Another step up in terms of price and quality from the Encore and the Rocky. More powerful motor. Same number of grind sizes Encore at 40. Yada, yada, yada. Ultimately, the best coffee grinder for you will depend on your budget, brewing preferences, and desired features. I agree with that. I don't agree with those as the best ones under 500 euros. So another one for Lance, 3-0. All right. Wow, I am so good at this game. Let's see. Oh, someone said, would you consider doing a big review of low or rather mid-range home espresso machines up to 1,000? So instead, I'm going to rephrase that question so I can actually ask the chatbot to ask Gaston. I'm going to make it say, what are the best espresso machines or options under 1,000? So I have a couple that I'm going to bring up. On the one hand, I think that the Breville or Sage Barista Express is a fantastic option. It does have a built-in grinder that you'll want to eventually move up from, but initially it does a fine job. It does okay. It's not great with lighter roasted coffees, but it can do it. The machine itself, though, has multiple PIDs inside, controllable pre-infusion, which just means you're able to control the voltage to the pump, which gives you more or less flow rate out of the group head, giving you the capability of essentially pre-infusion or just changing the flow rate coming out, which is a great thing that you have to modify a lot of machines in order to give you. So I really like the Express. I really like the Gaggia Classic Pro, but of course, out of the box, I don't think it's that great. I think if you're asking me out of the box, under $1,000, what do I get? I'm likely going to recommend something like the Breville Barista Express because I think it's really user-friendly. It's a great beginner machine. It'll last a while if you take care of it. You put the right water in it, things like that, back flush, yada, yada. But yeah, I'm going to say the Express, if you're willing to modify, if you're like, 1,000's my limit, but I'm a tinkerer, the Gaggia Classic Pro and tossing in some fun modifications like adding the PID controller or doing the Gaggiuino mod, all of this can be done under $1,000. I'll hack some Gaggia videos there as well. Those two, I think, are probably the best bangs for your buck. One, out of the box, ready to go, and you have a lot of capabilities. The other one, bada bing, bada boom, you have a machine that will last a really long time, but you're gonna have to tinker the mess out of it, change the spring for the OPV, add a PID controller, add other like a dimmer switch, stuff like that. Anyway, let's ask Gaston, what is the best espresso? Oh my gosh, I can't use the freaking keyboard. Under $1,000. I thought a lot faster this time. I had this one loaded and ready. There are a number of good espresso machines under $1,000. Some options to consider include Gaggia Classic Pro. We're aligned there, my friend. This semi-automatic espresso machine is known for its durability and consistent performance. It has a 15-bar pressure pump and a stainless steel boiler, which is actually an important thing, stainless steel boiler. And it comes with a built-in tamper and frother. The 15-bar pressure pump, you need to switch the spring. You just do. That's just, don't argue, okay? Number 2, DeLonghi espresso machine. This is a budget-friendly semi-automatic espresso machine that is known for its ease of use and consistent performance. 15-bar pressure pump, stainless steel boiler, and it comes with a built-in tamper. So they gave this almost the same exact description as the Gaggia. You getting lazy on me, Gaston? The third one, Breville Barista Express. This is a semi-automatic espresso machine known for its consistent performance. And yeah, so it essentially gave the same description again. So, you know, I'm going to call this one, well,
a tie.
I'm not going to call it a tie because they didn't say to modify your Gaggia Classic Pro. And when you have $500 left in the budget, you need to do that. So, another one for Lance. Wow, I'm crushing Gaston. You are not as good as people think you are. Let's see. Are end game grinders overrated? And then they said, do I really need to spend $2,650 on a P100 or are we chasing unicorns? Well, first of all, I love to chase unicorns, so don't you act like that's a negative thing, okay? I mean, it's a freaking horse with a freaking sword on its head. Okay, are in-game grinders overrated? This is completely relative to the person. Will in-game grinders, these $3,000-$4,000 grinders, will they produce better coffee? Yes, marginally, they will. It's the law of diminishing returns. You're continuing to go up, but the factor is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller at the rate of increase, right? So, yes, it's worth it if it's worth it to you. If you have the capital, if you have the capability, if that is something like if ergonomics on your current cheaper grinder are crap, or it's loud, or it's noisy or messy or whatever, then all those little ticks going up is worth it. But if it's not worth it to you, then it's not. You know what I mean? So my answer to this is it's all relative. If you have, like for instance, if you drink filter every day and you have the Ode with SSP burrs, and someone's like, well, the best filter I've ever had is on a P100 with the 98 millimeter SSP brew burrs, hands down. Well, I would love to brew the same coffee on the fellow Ode with 64 millimeter multi-purpose burrs and the P100. I would love to brew it and dial it in myself and give it to you without knowing what they are and see what you think. 10 times out of 10, I don't think you're going to get it 100%. Maybe 6 times out of 10, you're going to choose the more expensive one. So I think there is probably a small noticeable change. The biggest difference is probably maybe consistency and hitting what you're wanting a little sooner. But I think that the changes are small. That being said, there are some things I think that are have bigger differences than others. I don't think just because you spend $3,000, it automatically means you have this great machine. There's still betters and worse. Anyway, let's see what Gaston says. Gaston, at last we see each other plain, Monsieur Lumiere. You wear a different name. Okay. Are end-game coffee grinders overrated? It depends on what you mean by end-game coffee grinders and what your goals are for your coffee brewing setup. End-game coffee grinders are often high-end, expensive grinders that are designed for serious coffee enthusiasts who are willing to invest in the best equipment to get the most out of their coffee. These grinders tend to have more features, higher build quality, and more precise grind adjustments than lower-end models. Whether or not end-game grinders are overrated will depend on your personal taste preferences and how much you value the features and performances that these grinders offer. If you're a serious coffee enthusiast and willing to pay for the best equipment, an end-game grinder may be worth the investment for you. However, if you are more casual about your coffee brewing or on a tight budget, a lower-end grinder might be sufficient for your needs. Y'all don't know I could read that fast now, did you? It's full of surprises. I agree with this one here. So I'm gonna give me the point though because I read it really fast. What are some of the latest trends and innovations in the coffee industry? There's a second part of this question, but I think that'll be too difficult to ask Gaston because he's failing so badly. I think I'm up 5-0. But it's so embarrassing for you. Seriously? You were supposed to come on here and impress everyone, and you're just, wow, okay. Turns out I'm the one impressing. Okay, latest trends and innovations. So some of the big trends and innovations I'm seeing, obviously, is with baskets recently. They're, Weber first came out, it's important to say this, first came out with a portafilter that had a basket integrated in it, but the idea was to have, well, there are a few ideas for it, but one of them was to have a larger hole spacing that matched the top diameter of the basket, so that as water's going through the puck, turning into espresso, coming out, it has holes it can exit from side to side. So the top of most portafilters are 58.5 millimeters, but the bottom hole spread on most portafilter baskets is around 46 to 48 millimeters. So there's around 10 millimeters of escape that's not available for the espresso, for the water going through. How's it going to escape? It's going to concentrate the outer ring of holes, and it's going to cause under extraction around the edges. So Doug Weber at Weber Workshops created the Unifilter, which has holes all the way to the edge, and it has almost a 58 millimeter spread of holes on the bottom. And then, of course, after that, Wayfo came out with a basket with holes to the edge. Swartz Design came out with a basket with holes to the edge, and Weber finally released his basket, which is just a removable piece from the Unifilter with holes to the edge. So I think this is, ideally this is a great innovation for coffee shops to increase consistency, less wasted shots, and a more durable basket than what is commercially available. But I think that's a fun innovation that's come out. And whether or not you like the innovation, it is one of the more recent ones, so I have to say that. Another one I would say is processing. So a lot of the processing techniques going on at the farm level, you have a lot of infusions going on recently, which I'm not a big fan of. It's hard for me to see longevity for producers to do this, especially because all the failed batches that are likely going to occur. You're going to have roaster backing or importers backing these producers. So if they have a failed crop because an infusion went wrong, they can't be without all that coffee. So I have a hard time seeing sustainability with these infused coffees, but it is a huge trend, as well as just different types of anaerobic style processing. So that's a big trend / innovation going on. And I guess the last one would be this is me assuming this is what Gaston's going to say, but I'm going to say that white coffee trend where you don't really roast the coffee or something. I don't even know how it really works because it looked disgusting. But I'm going to say that because I feel like since it's scanning the internet, it probably doesn't get to the real stuff. That's why he's losing so badly. All right, let's see. What are some of the latest trends and innovations in the coffee industry? There we go. There are a number of trends and innovations. One, specialty coffee. There has been a growing trend towards specialty coffee, which refers to high quality, carefully sourced and roasted coffee that is served in specialty shops or roasters. Specialty coffee places a strong emphasis on the origin. Okay, we know that. Sustainable and ethical sourcing. There is an increasing focus on sustainability and ethical sourcing within the coffee industry, with many companies working to source their beans from farmers who use environmentally friendly growing practices. Number 3, cold brew and other alternative brewing methods. Cold brew coffee, which is made by steeping coffee grounds in cold water, yada, yada, yada. You know what this is. Number 4, and this is just the low-hanging fruit. Touché, Gaston. Artificial intelligence and automation. AI and automation are being used increasingly in the industry to improve efficiency and consistency in roasting and brewing, which I'm not a huge fan of because I don't want it to replace human workers, but it is happening. Touché, Gaston. Number 5, plant-based milk alternatives, obviously. I'm gonna split the point with AI because I'm kind. So I guess we're 5.5 to half. All right, last question. Which book or article do you recommend reading to understand a bit more of coffee varieties? Well, it can't be a fully fledged video without me mentioning the saint of coffee, Daddy Hoff or Daddy Hoffy, Hoffy the Coffee Man. Daddy Hoff wrote a book called The World Atlas of Coffee, and I recommend that. It is a good book, and it's big, and it looks nice, and it makes you look like you know what you're talking about. And I tell you what, you grab that book and you stand beside any Gaston in the world and you're going to look like you know more, okay? So Daddy Hoff, Hoffy the Coffee, you know it to be true. His book. Now, if you want to learn about processes, I recommend Christopher Feran's A Sort of Glossary of Coffee Processing, which I'm going to link below because that piggybacks off varieties. You need to know processing better because I talked about it earlier. Anyway, that is everything. And now we see that I haven't asked I almost tried to take away Gaston's chance of answering the question. Which book or article do you recommend reading to understand a bit more of coffee varieties? It's thinking. Bell will not be impressed with your lag in thinking. If you're looking to learn more about the different types of coffee and their flavors, origins, I would recommend the following book. The World Atlas of Coffee, From Beans to Brewing. Coffees explored, explained, and enjoyed by Saint Hoffy Coffee himself, James Hoffdaddy, Daddy Hoff, Daddy the Hoff, Hoffmeister, Java the Hutt. This book is a comprehensive guide to the world of coffee, covering the history and culture of coffee, blah, 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 blah. Yes, so I was right, and you're a good guy, Gaston. You're a good guy. I'm gonna call that a full point for you, just because I've already kicked your tail. So we'll end this comparison with a little I won like 5-2 or something, or 5-1.5 because it's not there yet. I'm not irrelevant yet. Okay, so to prove how irrelevant I'm not. I don't know. Maybe we should end the song with oops, that's a Freudian slip. because I was going to sing a song. And the song was going to be... Don't know how you met me, you don't know why you can't turn around and say goodbye. All you know is when I met you, you made me free and swim through your veins like a fish in the sea. I'm singing, follow me, everything is alright. Singing home, I'll be the one to tuck you in at night. And if you wanna leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody else like me. You hear that, Gaston? Well, that was fun. Thanks for joining. And my cup of coffee is now empty. Delicious. It's cold at this point because I talked a lot. Thanks for watching. You know, if you enjoyed the content, I do have a Patreon you can check out, and then maybe on the next video, you know, you might, your question may pop up or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? We just have fun here. Anyway, I appreciate you sticking it through and watching me demolish AI. That's not gonna end anytime soon. I may just change the spelling of my name to Laince. Who knows? But anyway, until next time, I hope that you brew something tasty, and cheers.